Welcome back to the Fat Boy Fantasy Football Podcast. It is I, the Fat Boy here, Victor, with my homie Xavier. How you doing today, sir?
Doing good. Doing good.
What was your most exciting part of the draft or most surprised part? I think everyone's most surprised pick was Michael Penix for sure.
Yeah.
But what was your second most surprising pick of the draft?
Honestly, I thought the Chargers would have gone Malik Neighbors, but
No,
it's
I
whatever.
mean, I respect the pick of Joe Alt. I think a lot of people that I saw was mocking Joe Alt to the Chargers just because of how Jim Harbaugh likes to run the ball down people's throat, like just like it did with Michigan with Blake Corum last year. But I think my most surprising pick, besides of course the Penix pick, was Broncos being the Broncos taking Bo Nix. I guess Sean Payton has his franchise quarterback now, but I'm not convinced. And then Braylon Allen going to the Jets, I think was the other one.
Yeah.
Especially with them having Brees Hall, I
They took
figured they would just kind of ride him out. But
yeah, they took two running backs.
yeah, it's like, do you not believe in Brees? Like, are you just wanting the load of Brees? Does this make Brees Hall's fantasy value tank? Find out in the next episode of Dragon Ball Z whenever it comes August and we see more of what the splits look like in New York. But with all that being said, today we're basically going to do a 12 12 team super flex QB mock draft here with just the rookies and kind of talk about the rookies and what we kind of see as where we should draft each player. Um, of course, this is all tentative. You should draft based on your team's needs. But in a lot of cases, even if you do have two superstar quarterbacks and you have pick 101, I would still take Caleb Williams just for the value. But of course, it's just our recommendation. Don't come back to us and sue us whenever we give you a bad pick because rookies, I would probably say in the first round, it's probably about a 50% hit rate. And then second on, you're looking at about 25% down to about maybe 15% after the third. You'll never know who pops out. Like last year with the Puka Nakua popping out, usually in the third, probably like actually the fourth or fifth round of rookie drafts in some cases. But of course, draft for your team's needs and just have fun with it. As we kind of mentioned before in the previous episodes, Dynasty football is just for fun. Until you start spending $1,000 on it per league, then you might have a problem. But with that being said, especially for super flex leagues, I think everyone knows who's going number one. Um, Caleb Williams. I mean, let's be honest here.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
do you think is the ceiling of Caleb Williams this year?
101, obviously Caleb Williams. Ceiling of Caleb Williams is, I think he's like a Patrick Mahomes great value. You know what I mean? Just like
Hmm.
Kroger, Walmart brand version. Um, I mean, there's not too much to say. It's pretty
Hmm.
obvious that he's the 101. And like you
Hmm.
said, I mean, in a lot of situations, I mean, even if you have two QB1s, still choose Caleb Williams. I went the other way. I went Marvin Harrison in our home league purely
Hmm.
because know your league, first of all. Like, yeah, take the value, but know your league. If you know everyone's going to box you out and not want to, they're not going to trade with you in spite of you having three QB1s, you know, go against the grain a little bit or know the people that you play with because if you're playing with sharp people, obviously, then yeah, I would get the QB1, but
Right.
it's whatever. I also wanted to. I mean, I don't have my own first this year, so gave it away. Got Marvin.
Valid. Valid. Um, what do you think is the ceiling of him though? Like, if you had to put a Caleb Williams' highest place he could finish this year is QB what?
Highest Q. Ooh, wow.
Do you think QB5 is out the question? Do you think there's no chance he gets to QB5? Like, where would you put his ceiling at? Because I think,
His ceiling.
personally, I think QB maybe 6 or 7 with the offense they've built around him.
I was gonna
I
say.
think a
I was
lot of
gonna
it
say that.
depends. I think a lot of it just depends on if the O line can hold up. But you have a solid running back in Swift. You have three wide receivers that people are considering to be good, two great wide receivers. We'll see if Keenan Allen can stay healthy this year. I mean, he stayed pretty healthy the past couple years, but he is approaching that age where people do start having a lot more of those hamstring strains, the calf strains, AC sprains, whatever the case may be for wide receivers. But it's just we'll see where he goes from there. Number two, pretty definitive as well. Uh, Marvin Harrison Jr. It's kind of like the pick your poison between the top two, in my opinion. People already have Marvin Harrison ranked as a top wide receiver one. He's going in the rookie drafts right at the turn with Caleb Williams. If you are doing a startup draft, would you consider taking both Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison at the 112 and 201?
Um, honestly, yes, I would do that. I would consider it heavily. What I've also done is go Kyler and Marvin at the turn. I've done that.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks good on paper, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't mind going Caleb Williams, Marvin, if you just. But
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know. It's kind of iffy too because you don't have that veteran, but it's whatever.
Right.
I don't see anything wrong with it. So
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just two upside swings
yeah.
for Caleb and Marvin. It's like no matter what, I mean, you're taking a high risk per se with them both being rookies. So I mean, it could end up being where Caleb Williams is like the next Jamarcus Russell or something, or Ryan Leaf, where he just bums out for his entire career or something like that. But he also could be, a top three quarterback by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I mean, we all saw Bryce Young as the quarterback to have, or QB1 per se of the draft, and CJ Stroud was considered number three in the fantasy aspect, and now he's actually QB3 overall. So,
Hmm.
you know, arguable, of course, but he goes ADP three in Dynasty startups now. So, definitely spicy on that part there. Who do you have as your number three here?
Number three here. I've got Jaden Daniels. Um,
Respectable.
he has yeah. It's I mean it's really just between him and Malik Neighbors, obviously, but um, I have Jaden Daniels there simply because of the rushing upside. Um, he has he has like a pretty decent surrounding
Hmm.
supporting cast. Um, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. I mean, they just drafted what was that guy Ben Sinnott, however you say it.
Hmm.
Um, they have Austin Eckler, whatever that means, and Brian Robinson. um, and I mean, he can throw it, he can run it. I think just purely, I'm not saying he's going to be a good NFL quarterback by any means. I think he is. I think he is going to be, but
Hmm.
pure fantasy football, points per game aspect, I really think he might go in first round of startups next year.
Hmm. I mean, he could end up being like a Jalen Hurts, where he has those growing pains his rookie years, I think, and then year two he kind of starts taking over that offense. Because like
Mm,
remember Jalen Hurts' first year in the league, he was someone that was a QB1 per se, like for fantasy standards, but was also in threat of being benched at the end of the year because he was playing so poorly in NFL standards.
yeah.
But with him getting his 60 rushing yards a game and half a touchdown, we'll say, per game, he was able to, carry fantasy teams on his back, but not the Eagles his first year whenever he was a starting quarterback. But I can definitely see that. I believe the 3, 4, 5 here is kind of a tier in itself. Kind of depends on what you value. Um, between Neighbors and a Dunze, I would probably still take Neighbors, even though he doesn't have the system around him. Just because he has flashed that alpha upside, I guess you could say, while he was at LSU and being the guy for uh, Jaden Daniels, of course. And just to add on to Jaden Daniels too, I think he had one of the highest average depths of throws last year in the FBS. So he could sling it. He wasn't throwing no slants every game. He was actually pushing the ball downfield and being aggressive. So
Yeah, I mean,
I'm excited about Daniels.
yeah.
I think he could be a back end QB1 his rookie year, but then again, I also feel like if he could be threat to being benched just because he hasn't played. NFL level football, I guess you could say. But where do you stand on Malik Neighbors at this point in dynasty perspectives?
I mean, I still see him, man. I mean, he's a wide receiver one. That's what I think.
Mhm,
He's gonna get the he's gonna get a good a heft or a healthy 20% of that offense.
mhm.
So I think
Right.
no matter what, you're gonna have to give him respect in that regard. He's gonna get
Mm,
his. It just how much are they willing to put
Much.
out
Right.
as the
Like, are they wanting
quarterback?
to force feed him the ball
Yeah,
like they do with like Justin Jefferson after Kirk Cousins went down?
and they don't have Saquon anymore. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors is looking to be the focal point of that team. He's gonna be the center of that team. So,
What do you think is the cap of his targets? Do you think 120 is? I
prob
feel like that's might be
yeah,
where the max.
yeah, because I don't
I
see
think.
them. I don't know. I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly. 120.
Mhm.
Marvin Harrison, I see 150. Um,
See, that's what maybe, especially with Hollywood Brown being gone. I mean, all they have is what James Connor, Greg Dortch,
they're Trey McBride,
Trey McBride too. How can I forget about him? That's tight end number 2 or 3, depending on
Michael
who you
Wilson.
argue with. Ooh, big scary.
Yeah, right. I mean, I see 150, 150 targets,
Mhm.
not 150 receptions.
Reception. I mean, if he gets 150
Yeah.
receptions, that's legendary. He got 200 targets last year.
So, I mean, that's what I see. I mean, he's just easily walking into it. Um, Malik Neighbors, I mean, get a better quarterback, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
Mhm. I mean, I feel like Danny Dimes could go back to the not this past year, but the year before last, where he was a top 12 quarterback for fantasy purposes, because he is the quote unquote vanilla Vic, but he does need some more supporting cast around him. And that O line last year was god awful. Like not even Saquon could get anything started really last year. So they definitely have to work on that. But with that being said, who do you got at the 105 here?
um, 105. This is probably where we differ. I'm going
Mhm.
Drake May. Let me put him up there.
See,
Boop.
here's my issue with Drake May is that he may or may not start this year. It's already been rumored. Um, I just do not like that Patriots offense right now. Like it's just none of it's good. They might hold him back for a year at 105. It could be a good investment, but I'd rather have JJ at this point. I'd rather have Rome at this point for me personally. But that's where I stand. What do you see in Drake May to take him at the 105?
I see a 6'4", 225-pound gunslinger who can also run the ball. That's what I see. Um,
Hmm.
like you said, the offense around him isn't good. I mean, I don't blame you at all, but I do blame you at all.
I
So,
also do blame you for being dumb. It's fine. I understand. You can say what you want to say.
I mean, I
I
I
don't
mean
see the vision.
the wide receivers, Juju, Demario Douglas, Keishon Butte, who was supposed to be really good, Jalen Rieger. I mean, Kendrick Bourne.
Hey, that's Jalen Rager is the dog. Okay, he got drafted before Justin Jefferson. You better
Yeah,
not forget that.
for whatever reason. I
Mm,
mean,
mm,
they added
mm,
Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, whatever that means. But
mm.
that's what I see. 6'4", 233-pound gunslinger who can also run the ball. All I see is fantasy points. I see him like a, I see him like a Daniel Jones type. That's what I
Mhm.
see. Not Daniel Jones as of last year. I see Daniel like as of
2 years
when.
ago, whenever he
Yeah.
was that back in
Uh huh.
back in QB1.
That's what I see. Um, and that's fine. I mean, if Drake May falls to me at the 1-8 like he has before, then I'll take him there,
Mhm,
or I'll trade back again, which is
mhm.
exactly what I did. Um, but yeah, let's go on for your next pick.
I'll go ahead and take Rome just because he does have. I feel like if he does perform well this year, he might be someone that you could sell high on, depending on what he does. But then he also could have a JSN type year where he is buried behind DK as well as Tyler Lockett, and then start doing something more in year two. Of course, the verdict's still out on JSN, but he's still probably maybe wide receiver two-ish range for dynasty purposes. Uh, I just think the offense after Keenan Allen decides to kick the metaphorical NFL bucket per se could open up a lot of targets for a Dunze, however you pronounce the last name. But when in
Odunze.
Rome, I will take him. A Dunze,
When
yes,
in
that.
Rome.
So yes, if I do draft a Dunze, I'm trying to change my team's name to Win in Rome. So
So would you have
free nickname for your team.
would you have taken Rome Odunze at 105?
Um, maybe a lot of at this part of the draft is where I would start looking at what my team actually needs.
Mm-hmm. Try to trade
With that
back.
being said, yeah. So I mean, if I'm really needing a quarterback, like if I have just a quarterback that's going to start and other people that may or may not be benched throughout the year, like if I had say like Trevor Lawrence and Derek Carr as my top two quarterbacks, I probably would have took JJ instead of Drake May.
Yeah.
But if I did have two quarterbacks I felt comfortable with and needed depth at wide receiver, maybe I probably would have went a Dunze.
Okay. My thing with Odunze, it is that JSN like year. That's what I just see. Also with
Mhm.
like, dude, like I saw people saying that Caleb Williams is going to throw for 5,000 yards this year just because DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze. Like, who's doing? Like,
Mhm.
what? Who is throwing? No, that's not happening. And if it happens, okay, I'll shave my
He said,
head.
"My bad, my
I'll
bad,
sh-
my
I'll
bad,
shave
my
my
bad,
head.
my bad."
I'll shave my head if freaking Caleb Williams throws for 5,000 yards. But those Chicago Bears
Y'all
fans are
heard it
going
here
wild.
first. Y'all heard it here first. We're going to have a passing yardage watch on Caleb Williams every week now.
So, I mean, like, I don't know who's saying that or, like, throw the money lines up, whatever. But
Mhm.
uh,
Well, he's
personally,
at least shattering all the rookie records, I believe. But that's not very hard being a Chicago Bears player.
yeah,
He's a
yeah,
quarterback.
he'll, yeah, yeah. Um, personally, I would have taken at 1-6, I would have taken JJ McCarthy there. And
Mhm.
then I would have taken Roma Dunze at the 1-7.
Mhm.
Um,
Is that who you're taking right here at 107
that's
is
yeah.
JJ?
I'll take JJ McCarthy, and I will even tell you this. You can argue, it's really debate because I flip flop between JJ McCarthy and Drake May as well. Okay,
Mhm.
I could see myself going JJ McCarthy at the 1-5 too, simply because
Mhm.
of situation. He has a
Mhm.
great team around him. Jettas, Addison, Hawkinson, midseason. I mean, the running back room. I mean, who cares?
Iffy sketch
Who cares about running
at
backs any
best.
days,
Sketch.
anyways? But
Mhm.
um, I mean, he just has a good supporting cast, so he, I think, I
We have
think,
Aaron Jones. What are we talking about?
I mean, he's old, but it's whatever,
I mean, he might be old, but he can still run for 3 touchdowns against Dallas every time he plays them.
right? So I mean, I think he'll start. I also think Drake May will start. I know I said JJ McCarthy probably won't start at the beginning of the year, but I think these four quarterbacks will start, all of them, for the
Mhm.
beginning of the year.
Yeah, so I think if I honestly it depends on how much JJ impresses in camp. I can see Sam Darnold starting, but
Hopefully,
uh with that being said, I mean, I do believe that his offense is a little bit better set up than Drake May's, especially with having Jefferson.
a little
Given
bit.
Jefferson is wanting, a bazillion dollars at this point, so it's kind of rough for the team per se at that point, trying to get future talent. But with the Patriots, I do believe that they might start Brissett for the first couple of weeks at least, maybe the first half of the season,
Hopefully
and
they
kind
do.
of see where they're at from there. But yeah, that's where I stand. Not mean to throw my laptop like that. My bad, y'all. But yeah. So at the 108, let's see what we still have available here since I can't see it on my computer. So here's where I'm kind of struggling now because I know the Raiders do run the most two tight end sets of any team last year, and then them having Michael Mayer probably going to be more of the blocking tight end than Brock Bowers. If the tight end premium is more than 1.5, I would probably take Brock Bowers. Otherwise, I'm taking Xavier Worthy here. Person, sorry for my dad in the background there, y'all. He is very upset at the Nuggets. But with that being said, I'll probably take Worthy here,
Wow. Okay.
especially, I know, call me crazy, but having that KC offense could be potentially good. Maybe he fills in that Tyreek Hill role. Uh, we'll just see. I mean, it's kind of yet to be seen. Of course, with any of these rookies, but I'm excited to see him and Rice and Kelsey in that same offense for his first year, especially with Kelsey signing a 2-year contract. At least have Kelsey for 3 years of his rookie deal. I mean, you can see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
What do you think about Xavier Worthy here?
I think it's a here. I don't agree with it, but I think overall, Kansas City getting Xavier Worthy is a I think it is a good pick. Um, I mean, I think Rashi Rice will probably get like a 6 game suspension. They'll appeal, then I'll go down to
Well,
4. But
a lot of people are speculating at least half the season. So you're looking at 8 to 10 games probably for what they're speculating on Rasheed Rice right now.
even if I mean, go buy him then. I would go buy him, or keep him if you have him. That's what I would do. But Xavier Worthy has never been known to be as a target hog. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he averaged I think it was like 4 targets a game last year, uh, in at Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I mean, neither was Tyreek Hill in college, but look at him now.
yeah, I mean it can happen. It definitely can happen. But that's the thing. It can happen, but will it? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Um, I just I think it is a good landing spot. I really do. But
Mm-hmm.
I think Travis Kelsey getting that 2 year extension should not hit it shouldn't hit him hard, but I think it should knock him
Mm-hmm.
down a little peg, half a peg, whatever.
Right.
But it is a great landing spot for a pass heavy offense. I think it is a really good
I wanted
spot.
to look up the stats of Tyreek Hill in college just for giggles, I guess you could say. Guess what his most receptions were in a season?
Oh, I couldn't even guess. I don't know.
Just shoot a number out there.
Where did he go to college? I don't even know where he went.
He started at Garden City, then went to Oklahoma State, and then ended up at West Alabama.
Oh, his most receptions. I'm gonna guess 120.
In college,
I'm just guessing. I don't really know.
that was what he had for his career in college was 120. Most
Jesus
he ever had in a
Christ.
season was 35.
Oh my God.
He had more rushing attempts than he did
See,
receptions.
I don't know anything about Tyreek's college
Yeah,
experience at all.
he was if I'm not mistaken, he was a fourth round draft pick with the
Gosh.
Kansas City. He was projected to go undrafted though, and he was selected in the fifth round at 165. So
Jeez, dude.
KC sees something in this kid to be able to trade up and draft him.
Yeah.
That's where I stand on it.
Yeah.
But with that being said, who are you taking here at the 109? You taking Brock?
Easily Brock Bowers. I would have taken him. I would have taken him at the 1.8, even if it's a 1.5 Titan premium.
Mm-hmm.
Um, landing spot isn't the best, but at what point, you have to
Mm-hmm.
look at it and be like, dude, come on. It's a talent over landing
Mm-hmm.
spot.
Mm-hmm. I'm taking
Um,
landing spot over talent 9 times out of 10 personally. That's just where I stand on it.
I mean, in this case, in this particular case,
Mm-hmm.
I'll do it. I'll take Brock Bowers at the 1.8. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my thing is Ramadunze or Brock Bowers. That's a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, I just think Brock Bowers will get his. Maybe not this year, right away, but he's still a I think he's still a top. I want to say, let me look at my rankings.
Probably three, because I mean you would have probably Laporta and McBride over him, or you could argue about McBride maybe.
I'm gonna say definitely a top four tight end
Mm-hmm.
overall, but top three, yeah. I mean, if you can get him at the 1-9 as a top three tight end in Dynasty,
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it easily.
Mm-hmm. It's just my issue is either Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell's gonna be throwing it to him probably for his first couple years until they draft a quarterback.
I hope it's Gardner Minshew.
Same, because next year's draft class, I mean, unless they get like Shadur or Carson Beck, not really many quarterbacks coming out next year, unless someone just burst out on the scene next year. But I would just rather have that landing spot, as I mentioned, over the talent per se.
Yeah, I
Um,
understand.
Here at the 110, I feel like it gets a lot more tight on kind of preference. I mean, if you really want a quarterback, you could try to take Bo Nix since he's probably going to start this year. Um, Brian Thomas, he could end up being that alpha in Jacksonville. A lot of people are starting to fall out of love of Trevor Lawrence. So it's going to be an interesting season on if he's going to prove himself or not this year, see if he gets that 5th year extension. But I'll probably take Lad here just
Okay.
because he is probably going to end up being wide receiver one in LA,
Yep.
unless Quentin Johnson remembers how to catch a football. But
Has he
it
ever
was definitely
known?
rough. Yeah, he caught just fine at TCU.
It looks
But
like he
somehow
doesn't.
he'd be wide open, 15 yards away from anybody else. It's like, how do you get that open? So everyone thought he was going to be great, but we saw how that ended up being. But
Yeah.
I do see Lad possibly coming out and maybe having like a back end wide receiver two season. But it's kind of verdict's kind of out on how that O line's going to look. I mean, they do have Slater, they do have Joe Alt now, so I'm very intrigued. And with them not really having a strong running back core or a strong tight end, uh, they're going to have to throw the ball to either QJ or to Lad. But of course, I did sign DJ Chark. You better watch out. That's wide receiver one now. But
Mm,
we'll see how Lad and this Chargers offense, like the AFC West, is all just so weak now at this point. Besides the Chiefs, and it's ridiculous.
yeah.
But I
it's
digress.
it's
I mean,
you
you could
know.
argue three AFC West teams might end up being a top 10 pick next year.
I mean, and it's also like, here's the thing. You were talking about the quarterbacks for next year as well. This is the
Mm-hmm.
year to grab your quarterbacks. Like next
Mm-hmm.
year, I don't know. Like, unless like you said, like the quarterbacks just like start doing crazy good, and then they'll move up the
Mm-hmm.
boards. But like I think personally, this was the year to go get your top four
Mm-hmm.
quarterbacks. Like, go get them.
Right.
If you don't have a quarterback,
Yeah.
go get.
If you if you are QB hungry, you better be trading up into the top eight. Let's say. So, I mean, worst comes to worst, you could reach for Bo Nix, but if you need a QB, this is the year to do it.
I mean, who at this point in the draft are you looking to trade back? Are you looking to trade up? What are you looking to do in this point of the draft?
Depends on team needs and what's available. Like for right here, and I really desperately need a quarterback, I might consider trying to trade up and get maybe Bo Nix. Um, if I'm a team that's pretty set with where I'm at, because right here, if you're pick 11 and you didn't trade away your pick, you came runner up, so you probably have a pretty solid team. You could try to pick up a veteran that might be able to put your team over the top per se, but at pick 111, like who would you be able to get like and not overpay for? I guess you could say. I mean, you could try to. I guess if you really wanted to, you could get someone like a Keenan Allen maybe. Um, Saquon, get a decent, possible back end RB1 that's a little bit older. Josh Jacobs maybe, but it all just kind of depends on team composition at this point. Like if you feel comfortable with your team and you think you could run it back and win it this year, I would look at trading for a veteran, or if you feel like you're lacking in a position severely, I would try to trade up and get maybe a Jonathan Brooks at running back or a Brian Thomas here at quarterback. If you really need a quarterback, or Brian Thomas at wide receiver. I don't know why I said quarterback, but Bo Nix at quarterback. Even Keon Coleman, I feel like he could have a really solid season with him being the only wide receiver in town, basically.
Yeah, I mean it's a big hit, it's a big miss too. I mean
Mm-hmm.
that's one of those where you're like, dang, F it, all chips are on the board.
Right.
Let's go. You know.
This is the point where you either get all in or all out. So,
And here's
but
another thing. If I was Team 11, if I got second place last year, I would maybe see if I could give this 111 right here. Let me get a random first next year. Just give me any random first. Because the worst I could
right.
do is get the 12. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just give me any random
I mean,
first
either
next year.
stay at 11 or you
Yeah,
do worse and get 12.
yeah.
Otherwise,
You profited. Otherwise, you profited. And let me see.
like
Kick me back a mid to late second.
mhm.
Let me just do that.
like especially next year. Like I've kind of been looking at the draft class for next year. If you need a running back, next year is going to be the
Mannequin chill.
depth class of running backs. If you need a quarterback, get it this year. If you need a wide receiver, if you could get a top 6 pick, top 10 maybe, get your wide receiver here. But even here, like Adonai Mitchell's going in the mid second round, Xavier Legette's going in the mid second round, and he could end up being a big bulky wide receiver one, but he's just a little bit slow. I mean, this is the year to get your quarterback or wide receiver. If you need a running back, though, I'd, as you said, kind of trade a random pick for next year. Trade
Yeah.
for a random pick next year.
Um. Well, with this pick, if I had to stick and pick, if I had to,
Stick a pick,
if I had to stick and pick, that's because I need to.
stick it and pick it.
So because I need to stick and pick, I would go with Bo Nix.
I feel it. Yeah, he's someone like who's going to start over Bo Nix in Denver at this point?
Who even are the quarterbacks over there? Like Jarrett
Jarrett
Stidham,
Stidham,
Zach Wilson,
Zach Wilson.
Ben DiNucci. Look, nothing against these guys. They're better than I could ever be in my whole entire life. Okay, but
But big but.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix did play very proficient in Oregon whenever he was there. Auburn, not so much. He was very, very, very mid. But he feels like he's almost like 45 years old coming out of college just since he was in college for so long.
mm,
And I mean, people have argued like, why is Caleb Williams number one over Bo Nix with better stats? Because Caleb Williams is like 22 and Bo Nix is like 26. I mean, come on now.
yeah.
Let's be honest here. But I mean, with Bo Nix, I mean, if you had to pick his ceiling for this year, where would you put his ceiling at? I'd probably put it at QB 24, back end QB2 this year, maybe.
Literally, yes.
I mean,
And they got
if
Troy Franklin. I mean,
yeah, his number one
sure.
guy. I mean, if depending on the health of the quarterbacks this year, I mean, he might end up being a mid end or a mid QB2, but I don't see him getting past 18 at the most. But I see his most likely going to be about QB 24
Mm-hmm.
ish, somewhere around that range. If he does start every game, of course, because I mean, maybe Sean Payton's just like, I feel like starting Jarrett Stidham this year or Zach Wilson this week. Who knows? We'll see. The Broncos is definitely hard to be a fan of right now. But with that being said, at the 112, um, this is where I generally start looking at team need more than um, talent or best player available. So if I really need a wide receiver, I would probably, me personally, I might take Keon Coleman over Brian Thomas
Mm-hmm.
between us girls per se. If I went super strong at wide receiver, especially if it's like year 2 of a dynasty, and I went super strong at wide receiver, I might look at taking a Jonathan Brooks here. But with Penix, he's kind of iffy in my opinion, just due to the fact that he might not start for 2 or 3 years, especially since they paid Kirk all this money to draft a quarterback in the first round. It's still mind-boggling to me. But the GM could be a genius, like how we're saying, get your quarterback this year. He also wanted to get his quarterback this year, so
Yeah.
we shall see how it goes. But with me, I will probably go ahead and take Brian Thomas. So he's probably going to end up being that number one wide receiver with Calvin Ridley being gone. Christian Kirk's more of a slot guy than anything. Evan Ingram's still there, of course. I still have Trevor Etienne, but they will need to, for sure. Trevor Lawrence has either got to ball out this year or he may end up being on a new team in the next couple of years, in my opinion.
Really? I think he's a starter there for the next decade.
I mean, he's got to start showing something with him being the number one pick. He can't keep on being mid.
Wasn't wasn't he the only good quarterback to come out of that draft class?
And even then, like he's been a fairly NFL quote unquote mid quarterback. Like he's a back end QB1 for fantasy per se. But it's been some really, really rough weeks. And even someone, I forgot where I saw it on TikTok, but someone showed a stat that even Gardner Minshew had better stats than him at this point with less starts.
Dude, Gardner Minshew made the Pro Bowl last year.
Which was crazy. And I mean, even like Tyler Huntley made the Pro Bowl, so I can't even take the Pro Bowl seriously anymore.
Right?
He played 4 games and became a Pro Bowl starter. It don't make no sense.
They just needed
But-
people. All right, my two.
That being said, who are you taking at 2-1?
My 2-1. Look, and I'm not looking like I need team need or anything. I'm not looking at it like that. I'm just looking at pure value. Okay. I'm going Michael Penix Jr.
Spicy.
Eighth pick. Kirk goes down. Dude, Kirk goes down with anything. A fucking flu. Michael Penix is going to, I think they're going to be like,
Michael Penix blue game.
get up
loading.
there. Get up there.
Get in there, run the football.
You're the new starting QB, son.
You better show me something now.
Kirk Cousins, boy.
Take my job, please.
Kirk Cousins, you better not get no headache.
No headache.
No, don't sneeze not once around them coaches, sir. Don't do it, dude.
Wild. Especially if he can't go at the beginning of the season with that torn Achilles.
He'll be
It'll be
fine.
intriguing. Like I'm definitely intrigued on how he comes back from that injury. Same way with Aaron Rodgers too. But I mean, if he can't go, it's gonna be interesting for sure. But
Go
with
ahead
that
and
being said,
mute your
Come on.
I don't know why it's making noises.
I don't know. But with that being said, we'll go ahead for the pick 2-2. I'll go ahead and take Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of I wouldn't say a no-brainer here at this point. But, of course, with team needs, you could go wide receiver here and go ahead and take Keon Coleman with him being the possible number 1 in Buffalo. But I just feel like he's the best value at this point with him going to Carolina. I mean, the only person he really has to contest with is a Miles Sanders who got beat out by Chuba last year, and then, of course, Chuba Hubbard at this point. But all these backfields are going to a split backfield anyways. So it's just going to be pick your poison on what running back you want and Carolina.
I think Jonathan Brooks will take over. That's just what I think. And I forgot to add, another thing with Michael Penix is he's gonna stick his value. Like whoever picks Michael Penix, like I've seen people, I've been in YouTube chats and whatnot and Discords, but I've seen people be like, I'll buy him next year. Well, the person who drafted him this year is not going to give him up for any less than what they drafted him for because he's,
Right.
not going to play this year, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to give him up for anything less than what they drafted him for. And sometimes I see him going in the first round. 110, 111 usually is when I see Michael Penix, Bo Nix back to back.
Right.
That's just my piece on it. But Jonathan
Your 2
Brooks.
cents.
Jonathan Brooks, yes. He is a running back 1 in this draft class. I hope he starts day 1, which he's not gonna because his knee and whatnot, they're going through physical therapy. It is what it is. But he's gonna be a good running back, dude.
I mean, Braylon Allen was number 1 until he went to the Jets for some reason.
Dude.
Crazy.
2-3 spot. This is where the real draft starts.
The real draft. This is where the research happens.
This is where the real draft starts. Not really. I'm easily going Keon Coleman.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, you don't really need to say a lot. It's just a landing spot. It's the raw talent. It's the. I mean, if Keon. I mean, it's the raw talent. That's really what it is, and the landing spot. He's big. Apparently, he didn't even start playing football till the later years of his high school career, which is
Hmm.
fine. But dude, have you seen those 50-50 balls to throw at him and he'll just grab up, he just jump up and catch him?
Hmm.
I mean, I don't think he's going to take a Stephon Diggs load at all, but I mean, this is
Hey,
a
they just signed a top 3 wide receiver in the league in Chase Claypool. All right, you better watch out.
hey, whoa.
Top 3 wide receiver in the league. That's all I'm gonna say.
But this is a great dart throw. That's all I got to say.
Hmm. I mean, all of this, like once you get to the second and third round, you're just taking dart throws at people,
This is the best one.
so you never know who's gonna pop. I mean, you could say it's the best one, and you never know. It could end up being, Roman Wilson ends up being the best dart throw of the second round. You never know. This is why we play fantasy football, so we can figure it out together. At the 204, I'm probably gonna take Trey Benson here, due to the fact that James Conner is 75 years old, and as you kind of mentioned with your holy savior Kyler Murray, it's still going to be a solid
yeah.
offense. All hail Kyler Murray is Kyler Murrayist is his actual religion. But with that being said, Trey Benson is going to be solid. Might not be this year, but I feel like next year, whenever I think James Conner's contract's up next year, if I'm not mistaken, we could always verify that. But I think he'll be solid in that area. Might be like a year two breakout like Trey McBride was this year. But I feel like taking a shot at running back here,
I would
especially if I'm
definitely
team four and drafting a wide receiver in the first round too.
I would definitely agree with you here that Trey Benson is the only pick to go.
Mhm.
Um, great running back prospect, looking to take over James Conner. I mean, even if James Conner has an injury history, so even if he gets injured, I mean,
Mhm.
he's just boom right in it. Let's go, locked and
Been there
loaded,
like swimwear.
locked and loaded. Um, with the 2-5, um, with the 2-5, let me
With the
look.
2-5.
Let me look real quick. Jeez, man, put me on the
Let
spot.
him cook. Let him cook. Let him cook.
Let me look, dude. Gosh. This is when you actually have to start thinking. This little tier right
Mhm.
here, this little tier right here is when you actually have to start thinking about everything.
Mhm.
So, sorry, someone's calling me. Whew. Sometimes I go Blake Corum, sometimes I go Xavier Leggett, and every other time I've gone nothing else. So I'm gonna go with Xavier Leggett.
I
Um,
feel it. I feel it.
I think it's a pretty good landing spot with the Carolina Panthers. Um, obviously, his college freaking highlight tape is ridiculous. Uh,
That boy corn fed. That boy country. That's how you know he's gonna be a dog.
dude, his college tape is ridiculous. It's crazy. But the competition obviously wasn't there all the way compared to the Power Five and all that other stuff. But hey, I mean, he could be easily the wide receiver two or even one in
Mhm.
that offense. So I say give it a shot. I say
I mean, he went to South Carolina and they're an
yeah with
SEC school,
with
so
Spencer Radler, right?
yeah,
So I mean, and he was the offense,
yeah.
but
I mean, he's still playing in the SEC, so it's not like he was playing in D3
yeah.
whatever BFE college out in the middle of nowhere.
So I say Xavier Leggett right here is a good
Mhm.
spot to have him.
Mhm.
What about you?
He ran a 4.4,
Yeah, it's elite.
and he's built like AJ Brown, 6'1", 220,
Jeez, dude, stop.
beefy,
I have him in a
thick.
league.
He said, "Stop! You're getting me excited." 40-inch vertical, 126-inch broad jump, athlete.
Jeez, dude.
Told you he's corn fed. He him. I'm just that dog, dude. Here at the 206, I don't like Pearsall being in that offense with Ayuk and Debo, especially since neither of them got traded. If I'm not mistaken, Ayuk's contract is up this year, but I also feel like they're going to franchise tag him after the end of the year. So they'll have another 2 years basically of being wide receiver 3, option number 5 in that offense behind Kittle and McCaffrey as well. I'll probably take Adonai Mitchell here. I'm just not sold on Pearsall. I know he was a monster in college and has like a great highlight tape, but his athletic score didn't pop out. And I just like the landing spot here better for Adonai Mitchell. Being wide receiver 2 and option number 3 in that offense is, I feel like, a better landing spot. Especially if Anthony Richardson has this whole breakout season everyone's talking about too. Everyone's like, wide receiver or QB1 right here, Anthony Richardson. Let's go.
I
But
think
how do you stand on this pick?
I like Adonai Mitchell as a player. I just don't know. I just don't know about the landing spot because of Anthony Richardson, and because of the accuracy, and because of the injuries from last year. And if he's gonna, are you actually gonna slide this year or not, dude? Like, come on. That's
Don't
it.
turn into Cam Newton, please.
That's it.
You don't have to chuck everything.
I mean, we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I mean, I like Josh Downs as a wide receiver too. Not wide receiver 2, but I like him like, also.
Wide receiver as well.
Yeah. Um he plays a slot, Josh Downs, and I don't know. We'll see which one of those two ends up as the wide receiver 2 in that offense.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's Josh Downs because I have Josh Downs in a league and I don't have any Adonai Mitchell. So, sorry, Adonai Mitchell. I like you as a player, but I'm praying on your downfall.
I mean, he's 6'2" and runs a 4.3. I mean, what more do you want out of wide receiver?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's the quarterback, dude. Like, are you gonna throw it? Are you gonna throw it accurately? And are you gonna slide when you need to slide?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
With the 2-7
Time
here,
will tell.
2-7 here, I'll take Blake Corum. Um, Solely because of the landing spot. Sean McVay said Blake Corum reminds him of Kyron Williams, and Sean McVay has never had a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Corum is going to see the field. To what capacity, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I expect Kyron Williams to get 70%, 70 to 80% of what he got last year, which is still good. But I'll take Blake Corum.
I feel it. See, I'm not a big fan of Blake Corum with
Me
being at
neither.
the Rams, but
I
the
don't.
Rams seem to use a running back for 2 years and then just throw him away.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think Blake Corum's a little too old, but for me, it's the draft capital, and it's also the Sean McVay. It's just who he is. He's never had a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher. That's just he's just like running back.
yeah. And then to add on to Adonai Mitchell, even if Anthony Richardson gets hurt, they have Joe Flacco.
Hey,
They have the comeback player of the year,
hey.
Joe Flacco. But here at the 208, I'm just gonna let the rookie Pearsall fall here.
Yeah.
Or stop here. Even if say Ayuk doesn't get franchise tag and he is able to leave, or maybe they make a trade midseason, he's still going to be option 4 in that offense. So we'll see what happens. But with San Francisco, kind of like in a similar situation with Dallas, basically it's kind of a win this year situation, or you're going to be done because your players got to get paid. So I do feel like they're going to play the veterans more for the first couple of years and try to capitalize on the championship window. And then maybe year 3, he'll start having those wide receiver 1 seasons potentially, or wide receiver seasons as number 1 of the options.
So do you think they would much rather trade Debo or Brandon Ayuk?
I would definitely trade Debo since Ayuk is the probably better wide receiver of the two. Debo is the better runner, like after the catch and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But if you're wanting a pure wide receiver, I would stick with Ayuk.
Yeah.
That's just me though.
Yeah, I agree with that. With the 209 pick here, I'm going to go Jalen Polk. I like Jalen Polk. He was obviously with Michael Penix and Romo Dunze in Washington, along with Jalen McMillan. He was a little, you know, he had to take a little hit because of Roma Dunze and whatnot, and he landed in New England.
Mhm.
And I don't, I don't blame you if you don't like him at this landing spot with Drake May. But if he's going to be the potential wide receiver one in New England, then sign me up. I'll throw it. I'll pick it up where you're throwing it down. So that's just me.
So who do you think ends up being wide receiver one in New England with Polk Baker and their
Here's the thing:
fallen cast of wide receivers?
rookies like throwing to rookies. So
Hmm.
I think it'll either be Jalen Polk or Javon Baker. But also Javon Baker said something like Amon Ra said. He was like, "You can't tell me there's 10 effing wide receivers better than me in this draft." So I mean, we'll see.
Hmm.
It's whatever. We'll see who's really about it. I really like Javon Baker too.
Because they have Polk, Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas, and they also signed KJ Osborne from the Vikings. So did not remember that signing. But he's wide receiver three there. For this next pick, I will probably end up taking Troy Franklin. I don't like the Pittsburgh landing spot for Roman Wilson. Um, with Troy Franklin being with Bo Nix, I feel like it'd be a good rookie to rookie connection there potentially. He's going to be wide receiver three. Javonte Williams was looking like a beast his rookie season, and since then he's kind of fallen off. So we'll see where that ends up being at. But at least with Troy Franklin, he does have his college quarterback. We've seen what that does with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I am not saying Troy Franklin or Bo Nix are Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow by any means, but that connection could help benefit both of them.
Yeah, I mean the rookie to rookie and their past college experience, it really ties it all
Mhm.
together. So I don't blame you for that. I just don't like the landing spot and the draft capital.
Mhm. I feel it.
For this next pick, this is a hard one,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna go Marshawn Lloyd.
Ooh,
Marshawn Lloyd solely because anything happens to Josh Jacobs, he's in. Josh Jacobs
right.
gets a stubs a toe, it's gonna be like that freaking
Up
Michael
the
Penix.
toe.
You're gonna be like, get in
Get in
there,
there, brother.
get in there right now. So I mean, they didn't have to take him, but
Mhm.
um, third round draft capital. I mean, Brees Hall was selected in the second, but I'm not saying he's
Right.
gonna be Brees Hall. But what I'm saying is
That's
nobody's,
high capital for a running back.
yeah, um, and they have an out on Josh Jacobs' contract even next year. I think their dead cap would only be a few million, and I don't really think they would care if he doesn't produce to their liking this year, or if he gets injured, and they're like, see you later. We just drafted this guy last year.
Hmm.
Um,
Rookie deal. We don't got to pay you no more.
exactly. So that's that's it. I mean, like it said, I mean, it says here now, it says had an out of control fumbling problem in college, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, if he fumbles a lot in the NFL, he's going to be sitting on the pine
yeah,
next to everybody
they'll
else.
give him a
So,
shot. They'll give him a shot. But
yeah.
5'9", 220, 4.46. Let's do it.
Hmm. Here at the 212, I'll go ahead and take the upside swing on Ben Sinnott.
Yes.
Uh, athlete. Oh.
Oops, wrong person. Sorry.
uh, I'll take the upside swing on the athletic genes of Ben Sinnott. The only person that's in between him and starting is Zach Ertz. We saw what happened to Zach Ertz last year, 33 years old, just falling apart at the seams at this point. We'll see how long he lasts. For some reason, Washington likes having these banged up tight ends play for them. But hey, we're here now.
Yeah,
So with that being said, what do you think about that?
that was the one I had a problem with. I was like, do I go Marshawn Lloyd or Ben Sinnott? And it's I would I I like Ben Sinnott a lot just because of the landing spot
Mhm.
and have you seen his college highlights? They're freaking they're good, dude.
Monster.
They're
Good. He's
they're
that guy.
yeah,
He got that dog in him.
he's him, dude.
Do you think he has a chance of having I wouldn't say a Sam Laporta type season, maybe like a Kyle Pitts type season? or if he is able to start week 1 per se, where he could possibly get close to 1,000 yards.
Can I say something kind of crazy?
What's that?
I think he'll be a top 12 tight end.
That's not really that crazy because who else is going to be?
Okay,
Who is tight end
I'll
12 right
say
now?
I'll say tight end 10 then.
So I mean, tight end 12, you're looking at people like Njoku or let's look at the QB. While you're talking about your next pick, I'll pull up the tight ends
Okay.
by ADP
So
this
my
year.
next pick is going to be Roman Wilson. Obviously, we don't like the landing spot, but he's going to play the slot. And he did pretty well in Michigan. But it is whatever. Um, so, yeah. I don't really have a lot to say because, who's the
Here's where
quarterback
you're just
over
taking
there?
dart throws.
He's 6'1",
Third
185,
round.
4.39 40, which is pretty good. Um, he was a pretty good wide receiver in college. So, I mean, let's do it. I mean, I know we don't like the landing spot at all. I don't like it. You don't like it, not one bit. But let's do it.
So here is the tight ends around tight end 10 to 14, we'll say. So tight end 10, you have Njoku, Evan Ingram, Dallas Goddard, Jake Ferguson, and Cole Kmet.
Mm.
And that's just by ADP at this point. Currently, Ben Sinnott is drafted as tight end 23.
Dang.
So take with that with what you must. Um, with that being said, here at the 302, as you kind of said, this is where the real drafting happens. This is
Yeah.
where you start trying to find those studs that are just kind of hidden. I might take Malachi Corley here.
Yeah, good pick.
Only people between him and starting is Garrett Wilson, who's going to be wide receiver 1 there. We're not going to argue that at all. But then wide receiver 2, Alan Lazard and/or Mike Williams. Mike Williams stays hurt 8 games a year. Alan Lazard runs like a 5.7 now at this point, it seems like. But who else is in between him and being wide receiver 2 in that offense potentially with Aaron Rodgers at least for a year? And even Aaron Rodgers has invited him out to his house to
Yeah,
like
his guest house.
coach him up and stuff like that.
Yeah, dude.
So
You like to see it.
yeah, we'll definitely see if that pays off for him. But with that being said, who do you got at the 303 here? We'll kind of start speeding up the draft a little bit.
Yeah. My 303 here. Javon Baker.
I feel it. Could end up being wide receiver 1 in New England. You don't know who's going to be wide receiver 1 in that offense.
Could. I just like his college, his
Mm-hmm.
his college production a lot and his college tapes a lot. That's the only reason why I don't like the landing spot. It's whatever. Who do you got?
Here at the 304, this team's already taken Neighbors. They've already taken Benson. This is where it gets kind of gross.
Yeah.
Give me Jatavion Sanders.
Good pick.
We'll go ahead and take the upside swing at the tight end spot because, as we know, it's a desolate wasteland at tight end. If we're arguing that Benson, it could end up being a top 12 tight end next year. You know that the position is shallow.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see what happens with the tight ends here in Carolina.
I agree with that pick wholeheartedly, and I mean,
So he's probably going to start this year anyways. The
Yeah.
only people between him and starting is Tommy Trimble and Ian Thomas.
yeah, I don't even know who those people are. So like, yeah. Bye. 3-5. Who am I going at this 3-5? You see, I really like Jalen Wright as a prospect. I didn't like the landing spot.
Yeah, because he's got Raheem Mostert, who's going to retire any year now at this point. But them spending, I believe it was a second-round draft pick last year on Devon Achane. Definitely interesting with them taking another running back at this point. But it's probably going to be him sit behind both of them for a couple of years and then start year 2, most likely, in my opinion.
So I'm gonna go Jalen McMillan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I respect the pick.
I did the same thing as I did last time, so just excuse that.
Remember my first time. It's all good.
I like Jalen McMillan as a prospect. He's
Hmm.
tall, 6'1", 197, hidden hidden behind Rodunze and Polk. Um,
Hmm.
the thing is, though, he does have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Trey Palmer there.
Hmm.
Um, it's just gonna take one of those guys to, and then. But I'm not saying
I mean,
I'm not saying he's gonna be this even a wide receiver too. I'm just
mhm.
saying I like the talent.
Right. So I mean, even Chris Godwin's 28, Mike Evans is 30. Even though Mike Evans just signed a monster contract, which was very surprising. Um, we'll see where it goes. There's a lot of Tampa Bay players here at the end of the third round that we could potentially look at drafting. For my next pick, I'll go ahead and stop the fall of Jalen Wright. We'll see what he does in year two, but I think in year one, unless Achan or Mostert go down with an injury, he's still probably not going to see the field very much. Maybe a return specialist in a way, but I just don't see him getting much playing time behind the two of them. It could be a worthwhile investment in year two.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a committee over there no matter what. So
Hmm.
um, here at this pick right here, I'm gonna go Jermaine Burton. Um, I like the landing spot and I like the talent.
Hmm.
I like both. I think it's debatable that I should have taken Jermaine Burton over Jalen McMillan.
Hmm.
Um, Jermaine Burton had a great tape at where was he? Alabama, right?
Hmm.
4.45, 40. Um, he has great hands. So I mean, there's not a lot to say other than if T Higgins leaves, then boom, pop him right back, pop that
Hmm.
sucker in. Let's go.
I feel it. For the 3-8 here, I'll look at taking just for landing spot
Jeez.
purposes out of all these running backs here. I am probably going to end up taking Bucky Irving with Tampa Bay.
Wow.
I know they have Rashad White there, but they are looking for another running back to kind of give him a break. Uh, it's going to be like a 70-30 split kind of thing there, too. But I feel like out of these running backs that are available right now, he'll probably end up getting the most playing time in the next couple of years. Who
Yeah.
you got here at the 309?
309. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna take a swing, big time swing, big time swing. I'm gonna go Kamani Vidal, however you freaking say it. Um, I mean, there's not much competition over there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got a 29-year-old Gus Edwards, and you've got a 25-year-old J.K. Dobbins coming off a torn Achilles.
2 years in a row.
Yeah. So, wait,
So basically, have the
Ace.
Ravens running back room in San Diego or
Sorry.
LA now.
Yeah. So, I mean, he has he has a shot. That's what we're here
Mm-hmm.
for. We're here in the third round for shots. No alcohol.
I respect the pick. Understandable. Um, Here at the 310, I'll go ahead and take another swing at Devontae Walker.
Okay.
Deep threat in a high scoring offense. You never know what could happen.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets free a couple times.
He's an explosive
I mean,
guy.
who's going to be wide receiver three in that offense here? I mean, really. So they have Zay
Jeez.
Flowers.
And
Rashad Bateman can't stay healthy. So he's going to be
yeah.
wide receiver two in this offense.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to Fort Worth's very own Tylan Wallace. He's cool.
Cool.
Called
Whatever.
game a couple times. Yeah, I
He's.
played against him a couple times,
Oh yeah.
something slight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir. But with that being said, it's thin pickings over there at wide receiver, especially with Rashad Bateman not doing the whole Rashad Bateman thing that he was supposed to do. He's supposed to be Zay Flowers before Zay Flowers, but never had a chance to do it. He was always hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very true. With this next pick, God, it's looking rough. This next pick, I'll go ahead and I'll do. I'm gonna go Brendan Rice.
Ooh.
Name.
So we're taking. We know who his daddy is. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, as we kind of mentioned, this is where you start taking shots on people. Um, for my last pick, I'll go ahead and just take Braylon Allen here.
Okay.
He's super talented. Maybe he's able to show something, and maybe the Jets are secretly planning on trading him. Maybe have some kind of master plan of maybe even splitting the backfield and blowing everyone's minds with him and Brees Hall.
Dude, I'd be
But he's
pissed.
20 years old, 6'1", 235. So we'll see.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
and I'm not even gonna lie. There's still people on the board that I would want.
I would take a shot at Luke McCaffrey,
Theo Johnson is someone I would
mhm,
like,
Ray
just in case,
Davis.
Darren Waller retires, like he's been maybe saying.
Mhm,
Yeah, Luke McCaffrey, you said. Ray Davis, even. Yep. Eric All, just for the tight end over there, of some,
mhm.
in Cincinnati. Um,
I mean, Jordan Travis could be an interesting prospect.
I would put Spencer Rattler up there too. I mean,
Hmm.
and yeah, Jordan Travis because he went to the Jets. You're not wrong at all. So I mean, even those guys are like you could have swapped him out with any one of these guys in the
Hmm.
third. Honestly,
Right. I mean, someone that doesn't really get talked about enough just because the Patriots drafted another quarterback is Joe Milton, who
dude,
everyone was just in love
dude,
with his arm last year.
dude. Look, I'll tell you right now. If Joe
But I
Milton,
mean,
if Joe Milton gets one start, okay, if he gets one start and he plays like Anthony Richardson for half a game, he's gonna. You can sell him for a second, and I'll right there. I'll do it. Bye bye. See you later.
yeah. Yeah, Joe Milton is someone that I'm intrigued on. So he's a sixth round pick, drafted in New England. You better watch out.
Jeez, dude.
Not saying he's Tom Brady, but Joe and Tom both have three letters. I mean, another person you might look at stashing if you have a deep enough bench. I mean, it could be like a Sam Hartman.
Yeah.
He played pretty solid in Notre Dame.
So, what are your biggest takeaways of this draft class?
Uh, if you need a wide receiver and quarterback, as we talked about, this is the year to do it.
Yeah.
Uh, if you need a tight end even this year, I mean, this might be a year to, you could trade up and try to get Brock Bowers or be sneaky and try to get you a Ben Sinnott. Even Jatavion Sanders might end up being a decent pickup in Carolina. If you're looking for running backs, it seems like every year it's not the year to pick up running backs. They always go to crappy landing spots somehow. But to be seen per se.
Yeah.
And this could end up being the same way as that draft class with Zach Wilson, where we think all these players are gonna, ball out uncontrollably, and then only one of them still a starting quarterback and got his fifth-year option picked up.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully it doesn't
So
turn out like that.
I think the other four aren't even on the same team. Because Zach Wilson got traded, Trey Lance got traded,
Yeah,
Mac
dude.
Jones got traded. I forgot who else was in that rookie class with them, but all of them aren't even on the same team. The 49ers are probably kicking themselves for trading up 3 first-round draft picks to sell them for a fourth. Wild.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and echo what you said. Take your, get your quarterbacks if you don't have one. Get them now,
This is
cause
the cheapest they will be.
yeah, yep, this is the cheapest they will be. And if you don't have a wide receiver, if you can't get into that Marvin Harrison or Malik Neighbors, I would just, if I have a later first, I might even think about trading back into the second and getting 2 seconds, and then seeing if I
Mm-hmm.
can grab me
Take
an,
two shots.
yeah, give me an Xavier Leggett and give me a Keon Coleman, and just you can
Mm-hmm.
have. Maybe I'll give you Lad McConkey, and let me see if I can get one of the two of them.
I mean, if you get like a second and a third, you could look at getting Keon Coleman and like a Malachi Corley.
Yeah, even yeah, I like Malachi Corley a lot, dude.
So the possibilities are endless. So out of the people that we took in the third round, do you think any of them have a? I don't think anyone's gonna get close to Puka's production from this class, at least in their rookie year for sure. Maybe Marvin Harrison, as you mentioned, or Malik Neighbors could get close to that, but outside of that, I don't think any of them can get close to the Puka season.
Yeah.
But any late round picks that you think could explode and just blow all of our minds?
Honestly, you might be mad at me. Okay, like I think Malachi Corley, yeah, but like
Hmm.
usually I'll see him go in the late second. So I'm just gonna say Roman Wilson,
Hmm.
um, because he's gonna play that slot over there. He's already like automatically starting over there,
Hmm.
and I mean, I see him ending with like I can see him ending with like a 600 or 700 yard season,
Hmm.
which isn't bad at all.
Maybe like 50, 60 receptions.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're getting that in the
I
third
feel like
round,
you're
you can't get
profiting.
mad at that.
Yeah, yeah, I can feel like you're profiting off of that. So
So, I mean, what player would you sell now for a third round pick? I mean, wide receiver 50?
what wide receiver would I sell right now for a third round?
Let's look at keep trade cut and see where they have a 301 ranked at.
Okay,
Let's look at
hit me.
the good old trade calculator. I don't know these players, so I don't want to ask. So 3.01. At this range, you are looking at people like Jacoby Myers, James Conner, Derek Carr. Let's see all the rankings here. Greg Dulcich, tight end 25, Jacoby Myers, wide receiver 62, James Conner, Chase Brown, Quentin Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins. Looking at very old players that may or may not produce,
I'd keep
or just
DeAndre
players at the bottom.
Hopkins. Just die on my team, please.
Yeah, if you have an older player like that, unless you're getting way overvalued or overpaid on it, like if you have a Derrick Henry like I have in one of my leagues,
Let him die.
if someone's offering you a first for him, send it. Otherwise, if someone's giving you a second, then I'm just like, I might as well just keep this potential RB1 production for that. Yeah. Basically, you're getting QB 20s, tight end 20s, wide receiver 60s, RB 40.
Mm-hmm.
That's just overall, though. I mean, I would take James Conner for a third, but no one's selling
Yeah,
James Conner for a third round pick at this point.
yeah, I would take James Conner's side.
Just kind of depends on what situation you're in. But anything else you want to say before we end out this podcast?
Hmm.
Any super spicy takes besides Caleb Williams throwing for 5,000 yards this season?
Super spicy. Wow.
What's the spiciest take you have for this season in this rookie class?
Oh wow.
I already know what you're gonna say. Marvin Harrison, wide receiver 3,
No. Not
just
like
because of Kyler
that.
Murray,
Not
your
like that.
savior, your god.
No. I think, man, I don't have any right now.
He said, "Ask me next week. I
Yeah.
got you."
Ask me next week and I can come up with something.
I feel it.
Do you
Well,
have any?
with that being said, Troy Franklin, 2,000 yard season.
Toy Franklin. Toy Franklin 2000 yard season. Oh god.
Bo Nix, 6,000 yards passing, 75 touchdowns.
Oh.
Broncos, 17-0, win every game by 40.
Okay. I see it. I see the vision.
Actually, I'll give you a hot take. Let's look at this draft board again.
Okay.
Let's look at this. If I had to take a hot take, Xavier Worthy ending up as a wide receiver 1 this year.
What? You serious?
If I had to do a hot
Oh.
take, like if we're talking spice, like that hot, I need some milk. Worthy being a wide receiver 1, just because of landing spot. Patrick Mahomes being Patrick Mahomes,
Okay.
and with Rashee Rice, if Rashee Rice suspended half the year, and Worthy is able to start out as wide receiver one in that offense, they get that connection going. A lot of things could go right for that. That's the only reason why I could see him being wide receiver one, just because Rashee Rice being out for half the year.
Okay. Do you still have Travis Kelsey producing at the same rate he was last year?
Um, so if I was doing a redraft league, the highest I might take him is being like tight end 3 or 4. So I feel like at this point they're almost doing like load management with him during the regular season to be able to unleash him in the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you mean.
Because we all know that the Chiefs are going to win the division. Like, there's no chance that the Chargers, Raiders, or Broncos could contest.
Yeah.
Like, if the Chiefs run 6-0 in the division, I would not be surprised at all.
Yeah.
Average margin of victory being in like 12 points, wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I got nothing else to add, brother.
Well, sounds like that's going to be the end of the clip per se. But hope y'all have a great night. Don't party too hardy. Don't get too crazy. We're probably on this podcast for a good 2 hours. We apologize for the long cast, but we have a lot to say.
You know, you do a long draft, and you got to stick it out. You know what I mean?
True, true.
But
But
yeah.
until next time. Love y'all. Peace.